Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
NASA Communications, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is Reagan Scharfetter with NASA Communications. How do you hear me?
Reagan, we have you loud and clear up here on the space station.
Okay, great. I have you all loud and clear as well. It is so great to see all of you together, and thank you so much for joining us for your On Orbit News Conference. We will be taking questions from the media on our phone bridge today, but before we get started, I want to pass it over to the crew for some opening remarks, and Anne, I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, good morning. And on behalf of the whole crew of Crew-10, myself, pilot Nichole Ayers, MS-1 Takuya Onishi, and MS-2 Kirill Peskov, we are super excited to talk to you today. We cannot believe that we're kind of in our last weeks of this mission. We've covered a lot during this mission. We'd love to answer any of your questions about it. I'll give you kind of some of the high points that we've covered in the last 4 months. When we arrived here, Crew-9 was just about to leave with Nick, Yvonne, Butch, and Sunny. So we got to give some quick hugs and farewells. Shortly thereafter, we saw the departure of a Cygnus cargo vehicle. Tak assumed command of the International Space Station for Expedition 73 and has been serving as our commander since late March. And then we crossed with Don Pettit for a period of time with his Soyuz crew. We welcomed Johnny Kim and his Soyuz crew. We had SpaceX 32 cargo vehicle. We had one EVA where we conducted some upgrades with the IROSAs and did an antenna relocate. And then we also got to participate recently in a private astronaut mission of Axiom 4, who just left a couple weeks ago. And here shortly, we're going to welcome Crew 11, Zena, Mike, Kimya, and Oleg. So it's been a great mission, but a packed mission, and we are ready to take your questions.
All right, thank you so much. We will go ahead and get started then with our media questions. A quick reminder, though, to our media partners to press *1 to insert yourself into the question queue and *2 to take yourself back out. And with that, we'll go ahead and get started with Jonathan Surrey from Fox News.
Thanks so much for taking my question, and good to be with you. Questions for each crew member. What have you enjoyed most about your time on station, and what is the one thing each of you most looks forward to back on Earth?
It's really hard to pick just one, but the first thing that came into my mind was the EVA, the spacewalk. It was kind of the pinnacle of our mission. We trained so hard for it. It takes so much effort from the teams on the ground and from one another. Everybody contributed to that, and I think it was just a really great space day where we got to accomplish a cool mission. When I get back home, I'm kind of looking forward to doing nothing for a couple of days.
Yes, same as Anna. It's very difficult to pick just one thing, but I would say the time I spend with my crewmates, it's kind of very precious and super valuable. So when I go back home, I will miss that time I spend with my crewmates. And also I'm really looking forward to seeing my family and also taking a hot shower on the ground.
I think Ann and Tak already stole a couple of the good ones. So I actually love the view up here. I think that it's something that is awe-inspiring to everybody, and it touches everybody in a different way. I have absolutely loved looking out the window, taking pictures, trying to share the view with everyone down on Earth, both just the normal day humans, everyday humans, and then also the scientists and researchers that use the pictures for data. So, yeah, I think that's been one of my favorite parts, in addition to what Ann and Tak said. I'm actually looking forward to like a big juicy burger on the beach.
I enjoyed the most interacting with such a wonderful crew, and looking forward to meeting my family.
All right, all great answers, all of which make me want to go do that immediately after today's conference. So moving on to our next question, it will be Jeff Faust with Space News.
Hello. Curious if anyone can comment on their perceptions of the state of the space station as you wrap up your time there, the quality of the facilities and so on, and if you're noticing any impacts from the reduction in cargo missions in terms of supplies and experiments to work on. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, we're coming up on the 25th anniversary of having humans up here on Space Station. And as Space Station gets extended and gets upgraded and has changes of crews and crew numbers, there's always some wear and tear, just like there would be in your hallway after you've moved a bunch of furniture in and out. But the current state of the space station, it is in a phenomenal condition to continue this mission. We all feel very safe being here. The teams on the ground are continuing with their A+ work as usual. You can see wires and cables and everything around us, and that's what science looks like when it's being done on the space station. We're currently in the JAXA experimental module here, and I can just look around and see the science that's ongoing. So we still are conducting simultaneously hundreds of experiments inside and outside of the space station, and the space station is more than ready to do that for the next 6-7 years. And we're excited to see that because as we shift our priorities toward Artemis and deep space exploration, there's a lot of questions that we have left to answer. And I think it's absolutely critical that Space Station is a platform here that we can continue using as a proving ground for those missions.
Okay, moving on to our next question. It will be with Jason Cutshaw with Army Space and Missile Defense Command.
Hi, this is Jason. Question for Colonel McClain. What were some of your favorite things about this trip as opposed to the last trip, and how did the last trip into space prepare you for this mission?
Hey, Jason, it's great to hear your voice, and hello to everybody in the SMDC family. This mission has been different than the last one just for a few different reasons, just perspectives and the science that's going on station. I'll say the biggest thing is that I think for both Tak and I, we've reflected on having the experience of the first space flight. It kind of reduces the number of unknowns. So there's you're kind of a lot calmer going into the flight. You kind of know what to expect, know what to prepare for. And so I think the biggest difference between last flight and this flight that I've really enjoyed seeing is the difference in some of the science and the advancement. 6 years ago, I got to be part of some experiments in protein crystal growth where we were asking, can we produce protein crystals to use for human disease pathology research on the ground? And some of those early missions, I remember looking through a microscope in the lab in 2019 and looking at the protein structures and how big they were growing, and we were really asking, can we do this? And then fast forward to now, the protein crystals that we've grown on Space Station have had a direct impact on research on the ground. Drugs like Keytruda that have been accelerated because of Space Station research. And so really getting to see that the science is ongoing, but it's not new things every time. We are continually building off the last mission. I think that's been really exciting to see.
Okay, perfect. Moving on to Josh Dinner with space.com.
Hi, thanks for doing this. Can each of you speak a little bit to experiments that stood out to you specifically as particularly promising for the future of space exploration?
Hey, I love that question. I think that, as Anne said, the International Space Station is going to continue to be a testbed and a foundation for all of the knowledge that we take into the future, especially as through Artemis we go on to the Moon and Mars. And I think one of the cool experiments that we did up here was named Elvis, and it was looking at a 3D microscope, and so looking at different molecules on a 3D scale, which is going to help inform how we do water reclamation, how we do plants, all sorts of different applications for long-term spaceflight. As the further away we get, the less resupply emissions we're going to have, the more things we're going to have to reclaim. We're going to have to get to a point where we can reclaim 98 to 99% of the water use on a spacecraft in order to get to Mars eventually. And so those are problems that we're trying to solve here on the space station where we do have the resupply ability. And Elvis was a great example of how we can look at those different types of fluids and liquids and figure out how to really make them better, not only for space exploration, but then it also informs how we do agriculture and how we look at water systems on Earth as well.
Excellent. I do just want to remind our media partners quickly to press *1 to insert yourself into our question queue if you have a question for our crew, and *2 to take yourself back out. And with that, we'll go ahead and pass it over to Mikio Tanabe with the Japan Broadcasting Corporation.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for taking my question. My question is for Onishi-san. So you became the ISS commander in April and have played a very important role over the past 3 months. So can you talk about what you focused on as the ISS commander as you are looking back on your time in space? And also, you will be welcoming your colleague, Kimiya Yuichi-san, to the ISS. During a recent press conference with him, he said, you are doing a great job in orbit, and that's actually a big pressure for him. I think it was a kind of joke. So can you please talk about what you want to say to him when you first meet him at the entrance hatch of the ISS? Thank you.
Hey, thank you for the question. For the first part of your question, so it's been a great honor for me to be the commander of this excellent crew. And I think one of the biggest responsibilities that ISS commander has is the safety for crew as well as the station. And in terms of safety, I am so lucky to have such an excellent crew members because each of them has exactly knows his or her role in case of emergency. And also throughout our training, they demonstrated great flexibility to change and sometimes adjust their roles depending on the situation we have. So I am so confident with my crew members, and also the only thing I have to focus on is kind of make sure everybody is on the same page, and also make sure the ground has enough information to give us suitable or precise advice to us in case of emergency. So overall, I have been super lucky to have our crew members, my crew members. And for the second part of your question, it's super exciting to be able to see one of my best friends in space. I don't think many astronauts can get such an opportunity. So he and I got selected as an astronaut candidate in 2009 together. So I'm really looking forward to seeing him on board. And what I'm going to say is probably welcome and really, really great to see you. Probably that super normal, ordinal phrases, but that's something that coming up in mind now. Thank you for the question.
All right, our next question will be with Nicholas Gibson from the Spokesman Review.
Hi, thank you all for being here today. Before the launch, I had asked you all how you expect this experience might change you, and now that we're on the other end of it, I'm curious what new perspectives or reflections you all will be bringing home with you.
Yeah, I think the perspective change, it kind of shifts in everybody over time up here for a variety of reasons. The physical location, the isolation, working together with the crew, the view, the perspectives. For me personally, what's really humbling and perspective changing about spaceflight is how many people it takes to make this possible, how challenging it is to have a normal day on space station. There's really no normal day. There's always something going on. There's always a problem to be solved, and there's always a massive team on the ground somewhere around the world that is having to work really hard to keep the train on the tracks. And I think we are literally physically dependent on our lives to people that we haven't met, but who we require to do their jobs right every single day so that we can do so that we can live up here. And I think to me that's really humbling because it gives me such faith in humanity and how much how people do the right thing, how people want the best, how people want to be inspired by space exploration. They want to be part of something good like this. and how all of our differences across the world really melt away when we just try to do something incredible together. So for me, I kind of bring a humble look at humanity and a real faith in humanity.
I think I would echo what Anne said. You know, I've marveled at what the ground team can do and how normal our days can be up here. But I've also marveled at, again, the world and the view. And, you know, there aren't lines on the Earth that draw country borders. You know, each state is in a different solid color up here. You know, we learn geography by geology is what I like to say, and we learn the different continents and different countries by their colors and textures, and you know, and it's been a really beautiful reminder that we're all just one human race working to live on this fragile marble. And so taking good care of the Earth, I think, is one of the biggest perspectives that I'm going to take home.
No, that's a great segue to my own question I have as a huge photography nerd, especially for you, Nichole and Anne. What has been your absolute favorite thing or things to shoot while on station?
Oh, man. This is one of those things that's tough to pick as well. You know, I think for me, nighttime photography has really become one of my favorite things to do up here. I've been absolutely blown away by the auroras that we see up here. There are so many different colors that you get to see from space that we don't necessarily see on the ground. And then I think thunderstorms are my other big one. You know, recently I've been very fortunate to catch what we call transient luminous events. And so, again, one of those things that is really important for science. It's, you know, the electrical activity that happens above the clouds. And we have such a unique perspective up here on the International Space Station that you can't really get anywhere else, that we get to see the TLEs above the clouds, both from an oblique angle and then also looking straight down on them, which is something that we just can't see from satellites or from Earth. And so I think that not only are they gorgeous, but they're scientifically relevant, and they're going to tell us a lot about the upper atmosphere and thunderstorms and all of their characteristics.
Amazing. So our next question.
I think
amazing. Oh, so sorry. I'll let you go.
I was just going to echo the thunderstorm comment. That's been one of my favorite things to photograph here, and we would be remiss if we didn't give a huge shout out to our crewmate Don Pettit, who we were fortunate enough to cross paths with for a month. And I think most people, you know, down there can appreciate his photography, but something that we just really benefited from was his character of wanting to pass on every little bit of knowledge that he had. And so he passed on not only the physical skills on how to take these pictures, but also his passion for them. And so we're going to hope to pass that on to Crew-11 as well. But a lot of the photos that you've seen from us this mission are really a lot of credit to Don for taking the time to teach us how to do that.
Amazing. Thank you both. Our next question will be with Bill Harwood with CBS News.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to follow up on Jeff Faust's earlier question about the overall health of the space station. We've been following the work the Russians have been doing to manage the small air leak back in the aft compartment. Can you guys give us an update on what your knowledge of that is? Is it still leaking? Is it something you think about? Is it so minimal that it's no problem at all? Just maybe a little update on that. Thanks.
Yeah, sure, I'll take that. I know that it's been in the news, the leak, and our teams both at NASA and in Russia have been taking a very deep and close look at that. It's been a challenge for the managers. Luckily, one of the things that NASA does best is face challenging problems, and the space station is older, and this is one of those problems that creep up when you have an older space station. So we feel very safe. I think if what our responsibility is as crew is to understand all of the potential potential outcomes of what could happen from the nominal to the worst case, and to be prepared to react to all of those. I think as far as the engineering analysis, that might be a better question directed down to our management on the ground. I know that they are digging deeply into it, and I think our focus really is just reacting to whatever protocols they have in place and agreements they have in place, and then, of course, whatever actions we would need to take in the state of an emergency.
All right, thank you. A common question we've seen on our social media platforms is how you all feel about handing over with Crew 11, who will be on board during the space station's 25th year of continued human occupancy and being part of that legacy.
Yeah, it's always exciting to see new crew members on board. So we are super excited, and also we just started some preparation to welcome them. So like cleaning our crew quarters and preparing their own food and personal items and PC, laptops, tablets, and so on. We are so excited, and that's how we have been continuing our exploration here on board the International Space Station. We took over ISS from Crew-9, and also we now handing over this station to our next crew. And also, luckily, we have Soyuz crew members between the U.S. vehicles that enables us to smoothly conduct our handover. So it's super great excitement for us.
All right. Well, those are all of our questions we have for today. Again, thank you so much to our crew for joining us today, as well as our media partners for your continued interest in their mission. Before we wrap, though, I did want to share that the road to Crew 10's return home begins with the launch of NASA's Crew 11, targeted for no earlier than Thursday, July 31st. You can watch their arrival to Kennedy Space Center tomorrow on NASA's Kennedy social media accounts, but in the meantime, you can continue following updates on Crew 10's mission on nasa.gov/station. Anne, Nichole, Tak, and Kirill, thank you again, and we can't wait to see you guys back home.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes our event.
Thank you to all participants. Station, we are now resuming operational audio communications.